Buddy, good to see you. How are you?
Paul, I ain't coming on the show with this Roy T. Mercer guy. I don't know about him. He scares me. I don't want to be skinned up.
He's down in your state, buddy. I mean, that's not. Am I safe to ever come back there again?
You're always safe in my neighborhood, Paul. But the problem is, I just Google him and I can't figure out which one he is. He's a pawnbroker. He's about 9 different things he's got going on. So, yeah, I don't know who that guy is, but he certainly doesn't speak for the whole Gator Nation. But I want to say one thing right now, Paul. Okay, you got Mike Griffith's number. I could call him.
He will be here in 2 days, but I bet we could get a hold of him quickly if you need him.
Well, I want to apologize to him because I think he might have been close to what he's been saying. And looking at the situation as we have a good bit in the last 72 hours or so, there's some things in games going right, as you might have heard about. And let's just stop right there and say, repeat after me, right? I say this. Will you please, Paul? I like Dan Mullen.
I like Dan Mullen.
I don't want to see Dan Mullen get fired.
I don't want to see Dan Mullen get fired. So, buddy, what are you saying there? You're obviously saying a great deal by asking me to repeat that.
Well, because I want to make sure that people out there know that you have not been leading a charge to, unlike what your caller Reggie said, to get him fired. Now, having said that, I do think it's time for changes, without question. And I do think that Dan Mullen bears some of this responsibility. And if you don't believe it, look at the numbers. Who would have thought, if I said to you last fall, before the last 3 games, that Dan Mullen would wind up being a 4-6 coach? And that's unheard of. Now, you can dissect that and look at it different ways and say, well, some unusual things happened last year. And I did that. Rationalize it. You had the opt-out bowl, the Cotton Bowl. You had the great game against Alabama last year where they played them better than anybody else. You had the shoe game, which was a freaky thing. And you say, okay, you can probably maybe explain to me that, Paul. But now you start thinking about, okay, 2021 is here, out of the box, 2 easy wins, terrific game against Alabama. This kind of was a game. This was a season maker almost. You think, okay, they're on their way. They're doing good. They got a young quarterback. And now things begin to change because you can't even get the snap out right at Kentucky. Look, Commonwealth and the Kroger Field is a beautiful little facility. I emphasize little, it's not Neyland Stadium. But apparently the offensive lineman, and particularly the young center, wasn't able to deal with the noise levels that they put out at Kroger. Right? And, of course, we had those famous 8 false starts. How can you have 8 false starts? Well, sometimes when your center snapping the ball the wrong way. So that was a game even within that was winnable. That was a winnable game that couldn't get the ball in the end zone at the end. I still think Mullen made a big mistake not going for it right before the half when they had 3 timeouts in 10 minutes. That was I said so then. Now you go all the way back around and say, okay, now, easy win against Vanderbilt, 42-0, etc. And you go to Baton Rouge to play bad LSU football team. And guess what? LSU likes to run the football. Have you heard about that? 100 years ago, one of the most really embarrassing performances I've seen by a Gator defense. They got mauled, as Steve Spurrier said to me yesterday. I've never even heard of that. Back, he's a Heisman Trophy winner, 287 yards. So that is what is hard to explain because prior to that, you say they lost to 2 ranked teams. They're still in. They got Georgia coming up. Paul, I'm here to tell you, call Mike Griffin. I'm about ready to wave the white flag on Georgia.
Well, what's interesting, buddy, is this. The Georgia game's always important, but this year it's everything because after that, and I know Florida State's at the end of the season, but this is really the last chance for Florida to exercise some of the demons, isn't it?
It's the season in one game. And I'd like to make a case for Anthony Richardson, and I've said this numerous times on the Buddy Martin Show, which you might have heard of.
I have.
It's on the screen right there. That this is the most young talent at quarterback as a freshman I have ever seen in over 50 years of covering football in Florida. And I think this kid is really special, talking to the HBC yesterday. I said, how good could this guy be? He said, he could be a Heisman winner. He might be. But you also got to keep him there, and you got to start him. The question is now, will he start against the Bulldogs? And I don't know it's really so much a start as he has to become the quarterback. He has got the skill. I've heard all the excuses. Doesn't know the offense. But like I was talking to Shane Matthews, the former Gator quarterback who was on the Gator Radio Network about this, he says, I think it's overrated when you say he doesn't know the playbook, because the plays he runs, some are not in the playbook. He's a phenomenal talent. He showed you that with accounting for 4 touchdowns and running extremely well. And this guy is a major talent. And the sad part about it is Emory Jones is a really good kid. Dan Mullen loves him to death, and he has paid his dues. Stayed extra time, watched film, waited his turn, and here he is. It's not that he's so bad. It's just that Richardson is just so much better. He's a major talent. They've got to get him in the game if they have any chance against Georgia. And I'm not sure they do, because they could get boat raced against the Bulldogs. This guy is the answer. He's got to be able to do his thing and run his leg, use his arm, and see what they got. But meanwhile, there's also the defense. And I would imagine that this kid Bowers for Georgia, he'll still be scoring touchdowns 4 days after the game. He's an amazing talent. He's bound to give Florida some problems. And Florida's defense, well, what do you do when somebody can run the ball for 287 yards on you, right up your gut, the simplest play in the world, and running it over and over and over and over and dominating you, taking your lunch, shaking you upside down, get your lunch money. And this is a game that Florida just did not compete in on the defensive side.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.